Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and my fellow space enthusiasts, good afternoon, you all. I welcome you all on behalf of entire management of City University. A warm welcome to our distinguished gathering. It's an honor to have our HOS and faculty member with us. Your presence adds immense value to this event. It's an absolute privilege and a moment of great experience and excitement to stand before you all today as we embark an extraordinary journey into space exploration. I'm honored to welcome a visionary leader, a leader of space technology entrepreneur, and a true trailblazer in the field of rocketry, Mr. Divyanshu Poddar, our esteemed chief guest for this event.
Today we have gathered here to deliver into a captivating world of spacecraft, launch vehicles and rocketry. It is a world that we have always carried in the flames of curiosity within us and inspiring generations to push the boundaries of what is possible. And who better to guide us through the fascinating and inverse with Divyanshu Poddar as the CEO of Rocketeers. He has redefined what is possible in the realm of space technology, bringing to the innovation and accessibility to the forefront of the industry.
But his journey didn't start here. Mr. Poddar's fascination with the cosmos led him to the Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO), where he earned his skills as a trainer. It was within those walls as embedded a sense of space exploration, imprinted by the legacy of ISRO's incredible achievement.
Mr. Poddar dedicated and expanded, eventually getting him to contribute significantly to the movement Chandrayaan-2 mission. He played an integral role in lunar design and analysis of the lunar development mechanism. So we are embarked to this journey and explore a launch, vehicles and rocketries or the vastness of space. Let's open our minds to know knowledge and experiences that Divyanshu Poddar brings to us his presence here today. Remember that space is not just a place to reach, it is a canvas upon human potential and innovation to paint it in the most spectacular hues.
So, let us extend a warmest welcome to Mr. Divyanshu Poddar, whose life work is a testament to the power of human integrity and an unquenchable thirst for the exploration. Thank you for joining us together. Let's start a new height of understanding and inspiration. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, that's more like it. So, all you guys are excited to learn about rockets? So, how many of you know a little bit about rockets? Do you all? So, if someone asks you, what are all the fields that are required for rocketry or building rockets? What are the major fields? Can you, yeah? Aerospace. What else? Anyone? Raise your hands, tell me. What are the fields required, according to you, what are the fields required for rocket science or space science or rocketry? Aeronautics. What else? Anybody? Raise your hands, tell me, speak out. There are, you'll learn only. Tell me.
Computer science.
Computer science. Okay, yes, computer science. What else? Physics, aerodynamics, okay. Chemistry. Chemistry is very important. What else? What else? Come on. You guys are engineering students, right? Think, what are the fields of engineering that are required for rockets? Or okay, let's start with cars. What are the fields required for a car? Mechanical, I hear mechanical. What else? Electronics. Communication. Okay, now if we move from cars to say rockets or planes, what are the extra things required? No? Fuel, a car also needs fuel. So what are the extra fields required? You've already said aerodynamics and aerospace. What else? Think about it a little bit. Thermodynamics, yes. So, two of the most important things which an aerospace engineer does over and above an automobile engineer. First is material science. We need to figure out more high performing, lighter weight materials. If a bolt in a car is 5 grams, if it's going to be on a rocket, I want it to be 1 gram. That weight saving of 4 grams is very important. Second is manufacturing technology. So these are the fields which are the cutting edge of aerospace engineering, materials and manufacturing. How to manufacture new, more advanced, more complex geometries with more high performing materials. So this is the broad sort of cutting edge, but apart from that, we need computer science, we need electronics and communication, we need aerospace, we need mechanical, we need chemical engineering. All of these fields come together and then you are able to build a rocket or a launch vehicle system. So this was just a quick introduction as to what are the fields required. So I'm just going to talk about rockets as they evolved. Okay, so we'll see. So over here on the slide you can see some early rockets. These rockets, they are by different countries. So we have starting with Minotaur or a Shavit rocket, the second one on the screen, that's by Israel. These rockets are almost 30 to 40 years old. Now if you were to ask me how big these rockets are, let's say the most visible one is the Sputnik rocket over here, the black one, right? That is approximately 20 feet tall. So a little higher than this ceiling, if it was kept over here, it's approximately 20 feet tall. It's capable of suborbital flight. It cannot go to orbit. Okay, it's only capable of suborbital flight. So what does suborbital flight mean? That it goes up and it straight comes down. That's suborbital. An orbital flight will mean that you take a whole orbit around Earth. For that, the kind of speeds that are required, the horizontal speed, because you are going around the Earth, right? So you need a horizontal speed. The horizontal speed required to achieve orbit is in the range of 16 to 17 Mach. You need to be faster than 17,000 kilometers per hour. But a suborbital flight, you can go to 100 kilometers height and you will come back down. Gravity will pull you back down if you don't have that speed. So these are the early sort of efforts of agencies and different countries to start making rockets. These were simple suborbital rockets. Then they started getting bigger, and over here in the center you have the red and white rocket. You have PSLV, that's the Indian PSLV, right? That's Aditya L1 just launched on that. We had Mars orbiter mission launching on that. So this is the workhorse of ISRO. This is capable of taking up to 1 ton weight to a geostationary orbit. A geostationary orbit is 36,000 kilometers. So the higher you want to go, the more the weight reduces. So if you look at its capacity for a LEO is low Earth orbit. That means 300 to 800 kilometers in altitude. So when you are at 300 to 800 kilometers, this rocket, the PSLV, can take up to 1.8 tons. So approximately 1800 kilograms. But as soon as you start thinking about a geostationary orbit, that's 36,000 kilometers. Now against a 500 or a 800 kilometer orbit, over there it can take only 1 ton. Now what is the difference between these orbits? Why do we need different orbits? So sir, can you show us the first video that I selected? Yeah. So full screen. So this is the Amazon rainforest. You can see it's completely green, and then you see there these white dots that are coming in between. These are clouds, and now you'll see patches start forming. Now there's 2 patches at the bottom left corner. This is deforestation happening. You can see the deforestation is increasing. As time passes, more and more trees have been cut. This video is shot by a satellite. Now this satellite cannot be at 36,000 kilometers. It will not be able to shoot this video if it was at 36,000 kilometers. So that's it, sir. Pause and go back to the slides. This video has to be shot from 300 kilometers height. That is why we get that clarity. So when we are looking at Earth observation, primarily up till now, our selected orbit has been low Earth orbit, because we are putting a camera in space, and that camera is supposed to click Earth. It is not supposed to click space. It is supposed to tell us what is happening down here. And using these cameras, we can do different things. I just showed you as an example deforestation of the Amazon rainforest because climate change, but there are lots of other applications as well. Hello, but hello, there are lots of other applications as well. These applications include, it includes. Hello, yeah. So there are lots of other applications as well. These applications include navigation. These applications include telling us whether a ship is on track. It like navigation in the seas. This includes monitoring of oil supply of the world. So this is actually a very interesting application. If all of you know that oil is a big commodity, wars are fought over oil. There are so many jokes that a country finds oil and then America gets there to give them freedom. So that is the level of that commodity. Now, how does satellite imagery help us in tells us that this is the amount of oil on Earth? So oil is stored in large oil wells that have a floating lid. So what happens is that if it's a large cylindrical tank, if it is full, the lid is at the top. As the oil reduces, the lid of that tank floating on the top of the oil goes down. So if it is empty, the lid is at the bottom. When the sun shines, the angle of the shadow tells us how deep the lid is inside the oil well. And this is true for almost 97% of the oil wells of the world. So by monitoring the oil quantity in each well, you can tell in what is the quantity of oil that is stored in the world, and you can do this country wise, you can do this deal wise, you can do a proper analysis as to where the oil is, who has the reserves, where is it going, who will face a shortage, who will have an oversupply, will the prices rise, will the prices fall. So these are the kind of applications that come out of satellite imagery. And I'm not even scratching the surface of the common stuff, like you already know about weather monitoring, you already know about agriculture, all of those things you guys already know. I'm talking about things that you might not know, so that you learn something new. So satellites can do a lot of things very differently. You have to think of the applications that it can generate, and it comes together very nicely with the modern fields that we have. Today you see a lot of interest for students in fields like AI, in fields like generative sort of language models, in fields like predictive analysis, so especially statistical predictions, so these are very, very exciting fields. Satellite imagery today is some of the largest databases that we have, that you can train your models on and do very interesting things. So for example, let us imagine a field over here which a farmer has. Now a farmer goes to a bank to get a loan, and the bank, he tells the bank, okay, I'm going to plant wheat or rice or paddy, and I have a field of XYZ size and my yield is going to be this much, so you give me a loan of 20 lakh rupees so that when I'm harvesting, I'll pay you back that loan. Now the bank is very, very wary, because the bank does not know where the field is, the bank does not know whether the farmer will plant paddy or not, the bank does not know whether there will be rains this year, and there are so many others, the regulations, the government rules, and all of those things are also very, very fluctuating. Now what does the bank do? That is why the farmer every time has to take money from a unsecured, non-banking financial institution which will have predatory lending practices, and farmers get ruined because of that. So now an Indian company actually is solving this problem, and they are today the global leader in trying to do predictive data analysis using satellite imagery. What did they do? Now we have had satellites up in space since 25 years. So they have photographs of this very field since the last 25 years. So, and these are multiple photographs throughout the year. So they can, using that data, they can train their model, and they can tell that, okay, this field, it has this much yield, it gets this much biomass produced every year, this is the plantation cycle, this is the number of harvests that it provides over the year, these are the inputs, this is the electricity consumption, and so on and so forth. Using this data, they are able to tell the bank, okay, this is the amount of money that you can lend him, your loan is secured, you can reinsure using these financial institutions, and you suddenly bring the farmer into a very structured, banking practice where the farmer does not face predatory lending. They started doing this to stop farmer suicides, and today they are helping the BFSI sector across the world. There are more than 1 million farmers in India who are already working with Thatcher, who have been able to secure loans from HDFC and SBI, which was never possible before. So these are the kind of offshoots that happen when you start thinking about why study spacecrafts, why do rockets. Because a lot of people talk about why do we send something up there? We need to solve problems down here. We need to build roads, build houses. We need to end poverty. This is how you do it. And this is where space technology helps us. And this is very much in line with what the Indian ethos for space is. So, do all of you know who founded ISRO? Can anybody tell me who founded ISRO? Yeah? Vikram Sarabhai, yes. So Vikram Sarabhai, our Chandrayaan 3 lander, all of you must have heard on the news, right? It's also called Vikram. It's named after him, right? So why did Vikram Sarabhai start ISRO? What did he say? What was the mission or the vision? Does anybody know? Does anybody know why did US or Russia or China or Japan start their space program? Why did Russia start going to space? Or why did US start going to space? Anybody? Come on, think about it, tell me. Worst case scenario, you will tell something wrong, it doesn't matter, try.
World War between the United States.
World war between the countries. Yeah, that's a part of it. What else? What was happening? What did the World War do? Why did they go to space? Huh? To explore the solar system. So initially the countries were not going for exploration. So if you look at most of the global space powers, right, whether it is Japan, whether it is US, whether it is Russia, whether it is China, whether it is ESA as a whole, they started as defense first programs. So there is a war going on, you want to make sure that the other country cannot attack you, or you have better technology than them. So you sort of start developing these technologies. These technologies were offshoots of missiles. So first we started with missiles. On missiles we had warheads, then we went to ICBMs, and ICBMs then led to orbital rockets and satellites and so on. The first time Russia launched a satellite to space, Sputnik, I'm sure all of you have heard that name. When Sputnik was going through space and people in the US could observe it using their binoculars and telescopes, they could put a ham radio in their backyard and they could get the signal from Sputnik and see that, okay, there is this object that is made by another country that is going above our country, it can attack us, it can be a bomb. They were very, very scared. And that's why we have to put a bigger bomb in space. And we have to, that's how they started, and that was the general ethos. So that has been the ethos of space programs across the world, except for Vikram Sarabhai. We were not scared. We did not have any rival China did not have a very strong space program at that point of time. And we did not have any rival who was doing space stuff for us to be scared. Russia and US ka war was being fought in Russia and US, it was not in India. Even the space war. So, what did Vikram Sarabhai say? Vikram Sarabhai said that we shall be second to none for the application of space technology to improve society and life of humankind. That was the ethos. This is the exact line. This is in the preamble of ISRO. I'll repeat the line. You should really remember this, because this is the Indian ethos of space technology. This is where ISRO starts. Whenever ISRO starts thinking that, okay, we will do this, this is the guiding light. We shall be second to none for the application of space technology for the betterment of society and life of humankind. This was the ethos. And that's why we started a civilian first. We are the world's first and only civilian first space program. And that's the ethos that we started with, and that's where we work, and that's how we started developing these technologies and doing amazing things with it. So even today, when you look at the application of space imagery, the global leader is Indian, because we are not worried about putting more satellites into space or getting the first, or we are not worried about defense and one-upmanship. We are worried about actually utilizing space technology for the benefit of people around us. So that's how it sort of starts, and these rockets, they started evolving. We have the PSLV. I've told you a couple of stories of the kind of satellites that PSLV launches. So the Amazon deforestation satellite that you just saw, that was launched by PSLV. That satellite was actually put into space by this rocket. So this is the evolving of the rockets. So if you just want to imagine what is the size of the PSLV. So it is up, sir, what is the number of floors in this building? 7 floors. So you guys have all seen this college building, right? So it is approximately twice as tall as the college building. So the height of the PSLV is twice as tall as this building. And if it was sitting here, it would cover this full, almost just the launch pad area would cover a hall which was twice the size of this hall. Okay, so that is the size of the PSLV. So when we launch rockets into space, we actually construct buildings and then these buildings fly. That is the scale. That is the size. So you can start imagining. So now this is the PSLV. You're seeing that these things are getting bigger and they're quite big. What's next? Okay, they get much bigger. So this is the space shuttle. I'm sure you all know about space shuttle. I'm not going to talk much about it. We have very short time. And then you see this exponential curve. So over there at the end, the two rockets that you see, they are called N1 and Apollo, the Saturn V rocket. So these rockets, if you want to imagine, these rockets are almost 5 times as tall as this building. That is, and they go to space. These are full-scale, large buildings that go to space. So this is the evolution of rockets and rocket science as it happened. And I've just given you a quick idea. So just to show you what happens and what is happening with the world of rockets, we'll see video number 2. So, video number 2. So yeah, made on Earth by humans. So just some very interesting. How many of you know Elon Musk? So yeah, I guess most of you know who Elon Musk is. He is either the first or the second richest man in the world. This is his car. This was his first Tesla Roadster. This was a Lotus. If you know the brand Lotus, the Lotus had a sports car. They converted that into an electric car, and that was the first electric car that Tesla built. That was owned by Elon Musk, and he sent it to space. It's somewhere around Jupiter right now. and we can track it. It will come back to Earth, like the Earth orbit, in about another 6 years. It has some very interesting stuff on it. So it is a Tesla Roadster, and then from the rear view mirror is hanging a Hot Wheels Tesla Roadster. So it's a smaller Tesla Roadster inside the bigger one. It has this, it's a signal telling the space world or the aliens that okay, what this is. And it has this memory disk, it's called an ARC disk. It's able to store approximately 232 terabytes of data. And that has a copy of the internet. So like it had full Facebook, full Twitter, full Wikipedia. It had lots of songs. Even the song that you heard in the video, it's by Bob Dylan. It's called Starman. It's a very inspiring song. So it has a lot of music on it. So it has a lot of human science, language, culture, art on that disk. So that if there are aliens out there and they find this car and they get stuck in traffic with it, they can then read what we are all about. So this rocket, as you saw, first there was an image where it fell into the sea, right? And then there was an image where two of these rockets came back and landed on two launch pads or landing pads on ground. So the aim was to try and land all three. The first one failed, but till now SpaceX has landed more than 150 missions. So now why land rockets? Can you tell me, why do we want to land these rockets? What?
To take people to another planet.
To take people to another, how does landing help with that? We took people to the moon also, right? In the 60s. Those rockets did not land. Those rockets did not land back on Earth. They fell into the sea, right? Yeah.
The rockets are generally, the cost is very high, so that when we land them, we can reuse them again.
So, reusability. Okay. So now, what is the concept of reusability? So now think of it like this. You go to a car showroom, you buy a car, you bring it home, and then you go to office in the morning and now you have to throw away the car. Now if you want to come back from office, you need to buy another car. Now if you want to go to the market, you need to buy another car. Would anybody be able to buy a car? Right? That's what happens with rockets. We build these buildings. I already told you the scale, right? We build these large buildings. These are large complex machines using expensive materials, very expensive electronics, very robust systems. They are able to handle massive temperatures and massive pressures. And even then, we are throwing them away after a single use. So we want to stop doing that. Space shuttle was one of the first first rockets that tried to do it. But what happened with the space shuttle? So it did not prove reusability. It used to come back. Now, when we want to relaunch it, the level of refurbishment required was so high that they were not able to justify the costs. So if we build a new space shuttle and we want to refurbish an old one, the costs were approximately the same, and the time was also approximately the same. It used to take upwards of 6 to 7 months. Like the fastest turnaround time that a space shuttle launch had was 6 months. Otherwise it used to take more than a year to sort of refurbish the space shuttle. So now SpaceX wanted to change this, and that's what they're doing with these rockets. These rockets, they launch more than 10 to 12 times and in less than a year. They have turnaround times of 48 hours. So SpaceX has been able to reuse these rockets within 48 hours of launch. That is the level of reusability that they have been able to achieve. And they want to go further ahead. Now even in this rocket, only the first stage is landing. The second stage is still going back into the sea. It is single use. It is not a fully reusable rocket. SpaceX wants to build that. And if we are able to do that, that will reduce launch costs drastically. And when I say drastically, just to give you an idea, it used to cost approximately $35,000 per kilogram to launch to space 10 years ago. Then SpaceX started landing rockets in 2014 and they became really good at it at 2016, 2017. And today, the global cost per launch is approximately $7,000 per kg. That's a 5 times reduction. But still, it is $7,000 per kilogram. It is still unaffordable. A small group of people cannot launch their own satellite. For example, if you as a student team want to build a satellite over here in college, you do a project, your biggest cost is going to be launching it. You will be able to build a satellite. It will be a good satellite. It will perform, it will test, it will do very nice things. It will not be expensive. You can do this. I'm sure the college will be able to fund it as well. It won't be that expensive. But you won't be able to launch it because launching it is that expensive. So what does something like a fully reusable rocket system bring that cost down to? We are hoping in the next 5 to 10 years it will come down to a few $100s per kg. And then suddenly the constraint of space being inaccessible or unaffordable goes away. And everybody can build something and launch it to space. Everybody can experience it. Everybody can do interesting stuff with it. And that's what we are going to see in the next few years. And that is why this field also is becoming so explosive. Because it is going to become accessible. It is going to become democratized. So sir, can we see video number 3? We can go back to the slides. So this is the second stage of the Starship rocket. It's going to be called Super Heavy or Starship or something like that. STS was the early name, Space Transportation System. This rocket is approximately as big as the Saturn V or the N1 rocket. It's massive, 350 feet tall, and it has a 9-meter fairing. This rocket, if it becomes successful, it will bring the cost of access to space to just a few $100s per kg. And it will change the way people think about space. Right now, space is this exotic thing that nobody can go to, and it's very, very expensive. Suddenly, space will become a tourist destination. Everybody can go, everybody can send stuff, and that will completely change the meaning of the way we look at space. Just imagine, right now when we build a rover, for example, Chandrayaan 3 launched, Pragyan rover, a 170 kilogram small little thing, an RC car effectively, right? RC car, a big RC car. Right? We built it at the cost of, I don't know what, a few crores at least, right? But if this thing is successful, we'll just send a tractor, right? It can do whatever we need because the cost of launch is going to be nothing. And a tractor might not survive like 5 years, but it will do its still. We will send it with a full fuel tank, we'll send some extra petrol, right? And suddenly the kind of capabilities and the kind of things that we can do in space changes. And then we start thinking about it very differently. And that is why it is an interesting field, and that is why people like you can do absolutely amazing stuff. You will get the opportunity that the generations up till now did not have, but you will be standing on shoulders of giants like Vikram Sarabhai and Abdul Kalam, and you'll have these opportunities in your career to be able to push the boundaries where others have not been able to do it. So this is where this field is heading, and this is why we should learn about it. I've just given you a quick overview about what rockets are, where they are headed, where the technology of this world is headed. I have only 1 hour, so I have extremely limited time. Otherwise, I would tell you lots of interesting stories, how these rockets work. I would go into nitty-gritties of the engines and the stages and the chemistry behind it and the electronics behind it and the kind of algorithms I would tell you some stories from the books of Kalam sir or B.N. Suresh sir or Radhakrishnan sir. These guys were my professors in college. Like I spent almost 100 hours with Kalam sir during college. So I would talk about some interesting experiments that we did. I blew up a rocket inside the LPSC campus. The explosion was heard for 2 kilometers. There were commandos surrounding me. I'll tell you about that story. But you know, there's an opportunity for you guys to learn all of these stories and learn more interesting stuff. We can spend more time together. I can come in and do a workshop. Talk to Harmeet sir about that. So he will be the right person, and if you are interested, we'll do a workshop. And what will we do in that workshop? We'll go through these interesting stories, we'll learn about rockets. And how will we learn about rockets? That's what I want to show you next. So I am a rocket scientist. I spent 4 years studying inside ISRO, and then I was working in ISRO for a year. That's how I learned rocket science. That's how I sort of gained my knowledge and my expertise. But not everybody can go and do that, right? Not everybody might be that interested, but still rockets are an interesting field. If you are an electronics engineer, if you are a chemical engineer, or if you are a computer science engineer, but you still want to know about rockets, what's the best way to learn? The best way to learn is model rockets. Now what are model rockets? That's what we're going to show you. So video 4. This is what model rockets are. They're a really fun activity, and They're a really fun activity and they help you learn about rocket science. You can learn about all the fields that I talked to you about. You can put payloads on them, you can put cameras, you can put different kinds of experiments on them. And I'm from Rocket. I founded Rocketeers. You guys saw the logo in the very beginning. You heard my introduction. I founded Rocketeers. The purpose of Rocketeers is to bring model rockets to kids like you. And I started off building these rockets while I was in second year in college. So that's where my motivation comes from, and I love this activity, and it really, I might have scored less marks than most of my other classmates, but I'm a better rocket engineer than them because I learned through model rockets. And that's what's helped me, and that's the kind of workshops that we do. We do 3-day, 4-day, 5-day workshops, and where you get to experience model rocketry hands-on. Every student gets to build their own rocket, you get to fly it. If you're doing an advanced workshop, you can even design your own rocket and build that. So, and then you can fly that. So there are lots of different variations to this, and lots of different experiments to this. A workshop is a stepping stone to do that. As a part of this lecture is sort of a teaser as to what would happen in a workshop. We will talk about rockets, we will talk about this technology, we will talk about stories, and we would do actual rocketry. And rocketry is not just to learn. Like Steve Jurvetson over here, he introduced you to this activity in a certain way. You saw that there were many rockets flying, there are many people doing this activity, there are different sizes of rockets. But at the end of the day, rockets are really fun as well. It is so much fun to watch them. It's so much, they're super exciting. They just like sports cars or they bring out that excitement. So they can be really fun as well. So on that last note of having fun with rockets, I'm going to show you guys one more video, and that's what's going to be ending this lecture. That's what model rocketry is like, and that's what the workshop of model rocketry will be like. So if you guys are interested in doing this, if you guys want to learn more about rockets and pursue model rocketry, contact Harmeet sir, and we'll set up a workshop over here. Okay? And this is this video will end my lecture. So last video. rockets, and that's the fun you can have while learning a lot of rocket science. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the talk.
I guess everyone has enjoyed. Okay, how was the event, students? Okay. Sir, definitely we will invite you for next coming seminars or next coming events. Okay, so we are having a shortage of time. Now for the rocket launching at 12:15, you have to come here in the front of B and C block. Okay, not in the sports ground. You have to come in front of B and C block, that the ground is here, right? So now IBM student will stay here for the IBM event, and rest the other non-IBM student can resume to their classes. Thank you.
Some project that I haven't met, I can get a sanction which is called TDP, Technology Demonstration Program. This is a small sanction that is done at my center level. This is not at a idea, some payload which they feel is useful. Then it slowly it
Like
gains,
any other organization.
yeah, exactly.
But funding आ जाती है
Sir, funding सारी की सारी 100% government funded है. This is
but टाइप पे मिल जाता है कि
Sir, actually, I would say that the ISRO management up till now has been very sort of smart with the way they are managing the funds that they get from the government, whatever that amount of funds may be. Like, for example, if you look at the approximate funding, say from 10 years ago, say if you start, it used to be around 8,000 crores at that time. Today it's around 12,000 crores. And this growth rate has been pretty much in line with inflation. So
still it's nothing.
yeah,
As
exactly.
compared to the other countries.
Exactly.
It's not even like 10%.
So like so if you compare it with the NASA budget, we are at 5%.
That's great.
Right?
That's really
4.5, 5%. Like we are not able to go above 5. We are like 4.5, 5% ki range. And if you start comparing with China, obviously it does not release numbers.
So NASA itself is like a billion-dollar budget.
Sir, but they are
5
doing.
billion,
Sir, but the thing is that they are doing extremely different work compared to our work.
Yes,
the
yes,
comparisons that we draw just on the basis of cost.
Frugal innovation aspect is there.
So not when it comes to pure science. Like जो ये वाले एक comparison draw होती है ना कि जी हमने 50 मिलियन में कर दिया उन्होंने 500 मिलियन लगाया. That is not.
But
that is not.
let's come down to this today. What are you like?
Sir, so these are called model rockets.
Right.
So these are solid fuel powered rockets. For example, that one will go to a height of 400 feet approximately. This one will go to a height of 300 feet approximately. These are basically designed as a scaled down version of actual orbital class vehicles. The main application is either education, STEM education and understanding rocket science, and then entertainment. So
for the students.
For anybody and everybody, and we've had all kinds of people having fun with them, right? Because rocket in itself is a very exciting thing, right? Everybody enjoys like अपना rocket बना के उड़ाएंगे, right? It's
Especially after Chandrayaan, people are more interested in these
and
things.
so this scale we are demonstrating over here is fairly like this is a C class it's called. So the classification is A, B, C, D, E, F. A being the smallest, and as you go higher, so we are demonstrating C class rockets over here. But the activity is not limited to this. The activity can go up to MN class, where you are doing say up to a 20 kg rocket going to 1.5 kilometers. So that class of rocket, in terms of engineering education specifically, can be very hardcore. So you can learn strong embedded systems, aerodynamics, propulsion, manufacturing, chemical, programming. You can do projects which are full scale in terms of building a system, deploying it, getting data from it, analyzing data and creating an application. So that full range of cycle you can complete with this sort of an activity.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ludhiana itself.
Okay, wow, very good. Small world.
So this is solid motor,
Yes, sir.
thrust vector control.
No TVC on this. We can build a system with a TVC independently, but not within the
So it doesn't
nozzle.
have the embedded system in it.
Yeah, but we don't recommend building a TVC because it has fairly limited. It's an exciting field, obviously, but it has fairly limited applications and it's maximum expensive. You can, if you're spending that kind of money, you can do much more interesting
And if
projects.
university wants to have the space program, do we need permission?
So no. So if you are working with us, we'll facilitate everything.
Let's have a group photograph first. Set this up.
Akash. So, by the way, sir, I'll just introduce Akash. He's my classmate. We were in Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology. After that, and after that, we were both in ISRO as scientists. And, now we're doing this. So he's my co-founder.
Are you